Let's talk about rising sea levels and why I believe it's happening. Okay, so we do have the knowledge, and science has acknowledged the fact that the planet is warming overall, average 1 or 2 degrees Fahrenheit, average per year. It's a real thing. It happened. Okay, so that does melt the ice caps. You're thinking 1 to 2 degrees. What does that mean? Well, that's an average. Okay, so that means every single day you got to think about like the definition of a BTU. You know, look that up. I don't quite remember it right now, but basically it's energy that it takes to raise 1 cubic centimeter of water 1 degree Fahrenheit. I think that's it. I think that is the BTU definition, or maybe that's a calorie. I don't know, but think about like that concept of energy to raise temperature. That's 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit globally is a metric shitload of energy that we have added. Okay, so that's a lot of energy. That's not just from cow farts in your car that you decided needed loud pipes on it to sound super badass and all that, which is cool. I think I like it. Sounds good. I like a good sounding car. But that's other things like, man, you could just factor in working out could cause that. Nuclear power. Okay, you're taking all this energy out of a rock and putting it into the world. It has to get cooled off. All of the energy that comes out of that rock, even though it creates power, does go somewhere. So even though I work in the nuclear field, I don't necessarily trust nuclear power for that reason. I don't think it's going to explode and irradiate everybody and make two-headed babies and stuff. That's ridiculous. I learned that is ridiculous. It's not how it works. The main thing is the energy, the heat that's coming off of it. So on that note, all this energy that we've added, the 1 to 2 degrees globally average temperature raise, what is that doing? Well, the biggest thing that we see and can observe is that the polar ice caps are melting. I don't even know if they're melting. I don't think anybody really knows whether or not they're melting. Some people are saying they're melting, some people are saying they're growing. Either way, if they do melt, okay, that is going to contribute to rising sea levels. The major big contributor to that, and the thought that it's going to turn itself around, is that when the ice melts, it's fresh water, and fresh water doesn't immediately mix with salt water. So you're going to have a huge pocket of fresh water coming off the ice and pushing the salt water down. And that's going to shorten the currents in the ocean, which is going to mess up weather like mad. Eventually drive us into a mini ice age, or possibly a longer ice age, depending on our momentum into this. But the main thing that I see is that the thing that I feel society doesn't see is our overdevelopment of the land. We have chosen to uncover the land from its natural state, which most of it, is forests and fields, which have decomposing organic material provided by the plants that we have removed. So I discussed it by gardening videos. Sorry about the smoking bit. It kind of helps me think. Talking about the compost, the organic compost that comes from all the plants that we have decided to remove in favor of golf courses and nice green lawns around our house and parking lots and roads. Okay, I talked about in my gardening videos that material holds 10 times more water than regular dirt, non composting dirt, mineral soil that most people grow their plants in, especially the big agricultural fields, the ones that feed us and the ones that feed the animals that feed us. It doesn't hold any water, so we're uncovering hundreds and hundreds of acres of this forest land, and we're turning it into fertile soil to grow plants in or put animals on. And what we're doing actually is the opposite. Not only are we making it unfertile because we have just taken the things that make it fertile away from it, but we are also, we're taking the nutrients out of it and we're not putting them back. But the other thing is, you got to think about that composting material is a water tank. It holds water. When it rains, the water seeps into it and it gets held there, and it feeds the land and gives all of Mother Nature. It gives it that water. So all of those things use it, like the plants that we took away, and then the plants contribute to the humidity, which creates clouds, and it rains, and there's a cycle. The water can cycle between the sky and the land and back again before, eventually the overspill from that system will go to the ocean. Now, the oceans do evaporate from the sun and they go into the sky and cause rain, but the rain is not going to reach over things like the Rocky Mountains. It's not going to reach far inland. It's going to fall out before it gets there. So basically what you're doing is creating a desert. But the other impact on that is, if it's not being held on the land, it has to go somewhere, and everybody knows that water follows gravity downhill. So all of this water that is falling out of the sky, when we get it, and even down here in Georgia, with the Gulf of Mexico right there, the Atlantic Ocean right there, and swamps all around me, it hasn't rained in a month. It just rained today, and it's been probably over a month since it actually rained. I have this much water around me and it doesn't rain. I'm essentially in Florida, and in Florida they say if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Well, it's been consistently hot and dry. So why do I think the ocean level is rising and flooding out, these little island nations and stuff, and taking away beachfront property? I think it's because we're uncovering the land. We're not being responsible with our use in the land. We're putting in Walmarts and more stores and fast food joints and parking lots and golf courses and amenities and things that we feel like we need to be happy, and instead we're destroying the environment that we rely upon, whether you like it or not. Yes, we have conquered nature, and we feel like we don't need nature, but we do. We need the environment. It gives us water, it gives us air, and if you take that stuff away, whether you like it or not, you're not going to be able to survive. So I think because the land is not holding water anymore because of the things that we have done to it, we are creating an imbalance and turning our land into a desert. And if our land turns into a desert, there won't be any plants because they won't have any water to survive. The water that does fall will just wash out the nutrients that the plants need, and it's not going to stick around long enough to help them grow. So essentially we're turning all of our continents into a desert, and if we don't have plants, we don't have air. And if we don't have air, some people are going to die. A lot of people are going to die. There's, and not necessarily because we don't have any air anymore. We're not going to have water anymore. It's going to be a high commodity. The price of it is already going up. There's huge debates on water rights, and that was never even a concept when I was a kid, that you would need to discuss rights on water. It's water. It's everywhere. But it's becoming inaccessible and not as readily available. The only way you can find it these days pretty much is out of your faucet, which is questionable, or from some company that puts it in a bottle, and you don't know where it comes from. You don't know what they're doing to it. They're stealing it from people, basically, drying out communities, and then shipping it all over the world and charging you money for it. So that's getting back to the point of the video. That's why I believe the ocean levels are rising. One, there's two reasons. One, the one that we all think about: global warming, melting the ice caps, melting the glaciers, all that water coming down. But then also the one that we don't see, and that I believe we should start to see, or it's going to bite us really bad, is that we are depleting the natural water tanks, the natural land, the forests, the fields, the swamps, the wetlands that hold that water back from immediately flushing into the ocean. So I guess that's it for this video. I guess that's my conclusion. I hope you guys found this informative, possibly even enlightening. I hope you have an outstanding day. I'm out.